All right, so we're finishing off 2.2, and we are closing it out with the difference quotient. And this is something that you will most definitely use in calculus, more so than you will in this class. This class, we're just introducing it. It will help you to be able to find the slope. Like I said, all of those details and how you would do that, we'll discuss that, like I said, in calculus. In this case, once again, we're just introducing the concept. So to find the difference quotient, you will take f of x plus h minus f of x and place that over h. So first example, oh no, the wrong button. Back. First example is right here. Once again, this is the formula. And then here's the first example that we will use in reference to it. So it says if f of x is equal to 2x squared minus x plus 3, find the difference quotient. All right, so they give us f of x. We already know f of x. What we need to find is f of x plus h. So that means we'll take x plus h and plug it in to f of x. So be careful here. We cannot distribute that square. We actually have to expand it out. X squared, not x squared, x plus h times x plus h. So when you fold that out, we're talking about x times x times h times x, h times h. You get that expansion, and then also we have to distribute this negative to each term. So we took x plus h, plug it into f of x, and we need to expand it out. All right. Then after we expand this part, we distribute the 2. So that gives us an expression of 2x squared plus 4xh plus 2h squared minus x minus h plus 3. All right, any questions before we go to the next part? All right, so we have f of x plus h minus f of x, and that's over h. And so just pointing out, when you go to plug it into the formula, here's your minus sign. And that first expression is f of x plus h, second expression is f of x. All right. So of course this minus sign has to be distributed into the parentheses. So this is your expression now. 2x squared plus 4xh plus 2h squared minus x minus h plus 3 minus 2x squared plus x minus 3. All right. So now what's going to happen, we can cancel out like terms, 2x squared and negative 2x squared. Then we have x and x. I got purple. Then we have 3 and negative 3. And notice what I said next is that each term left must have h in it. So each term we have 4xh plus 2h squared minus h. All right, so if that didn't happen, somewhere we went wrong in our calculation. This h is then going to be able to divide into each term.
And Professor, what is this property called? I'm sorry, I forgot.
The difference quotient.
Okay, thank you.
That was called finding the difference quotient. Yeah. All right, and then you see that 4x h over h would just be 4x. 4x h squared over h. One of those h's will cancel, leaving you with 2h. And then h over h is 1. And so that's our difference quotient, 4x plus 2h.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So, for 2h squared divided by h, why'd you cross out the squared?
Because it's two h's. That's h times h.
Okay, okay.
And so one of the h's cancel. Yeah. So just for reference, anybody else, if you had h cubed over h, that will reduce h squared. Because only one h will cancel out. Mm-hmm.
And so for h, and then you put the 1 over top of the eighth, the last one where it was
Right
just
here.
h. Why did that reduce down to -1? I see why it's minus, but
But anything over itself is 1. So even if it was 5 over
gotcha.
5,
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I
yep.
just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. But yep, so that's the same concept. All of these represent numbers. All of our variables represent numbers. So we treat them the same way. Yep. All right, any other questions? Then we got one more we're going to try out. Make sure we're good. Any questions? All right. So the next one, we want to take f of x equal to 3x plus 7. Find the difference quotient. So this will be less involved. We don't have x squared and everything involved, but f of x plus h would be 3 times x plus h. You just take x plus h and plug it in where you see x. And so you distribute. So that's this expression right here. That's f of x plus h. 3x plus 3h plus 7. And so now once you have f of x plus h, you can plug them into the formula. All right, distribute that negative. That'll be a minus 3x and a minus 7. The 3x's will cancel. The 7's will cancel. That'll leave you with 3h over h, and that'll reduce to just 3. All right, any questions? Any questions? All right, so before we go to 2.3, questions on that? And sure, we're good. All right, so 2.3 is linear functions and slope. All right, where's my book? Make sure something. All right, just want to make sure I had this right stuff. So we're looking at our slope. Slope is m. And so to calculate our slope, that's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Also y1 minus y2 over x2, x1 minus x2. So just doing right here, just showing you that both of those will give you the same thing no matter what order. So you just have to be consistent. That if you use y2 first on top, make sure you use x2 first down bottom. Or if you use y1 first on top, make sure you use x1 first on the bottom. And then we'll have rise over run, and you normally use that when you're trying to graph your line. So x1 and y1 and x2, y2 just will represent any 2 points on the line. Any 2 points on the line. And so when you talk about the slope, we're talking about the incline or the slant of your line. This is a numerical value that represents the steepness of that slant or slope. And once again, it's represented by m. All right, so let's look at trying this out. So we want to find the slope of the line passing through the points -3, -1, and -2, 4. So here, you just make a decision which one you call them point 1, which one you call them point 2, and label them properly. So I'm calling -3, -1, 0.1, that's x1, y1, excuse me. Then in -2, 4, x2, y2. Once you've established which one you call them point 1 and which one you call them point 2, you plug it into the formula accordingly. And I'm going to do it both ways. Remember I told you, going back here, remember I said that no matter which way you do it, you'll still get the same answer as long as you stay consistent in your substitution. So I'm going to show you both ways. Just remember, whenever you're doing it on your own, all you have to do is do it one way, and you'll still get the same answer. So looking at this one first, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I took y2, which was 4, minus y1, which is -1. So make sure you don't lose a negative. That's what I try to emphasize right here. So you substitute, there's a minus sign in the formula, and then you substitute in a -1. So make sure you don't lose a negative. A lot of people make that mistake there. And then x2, which is -2, and minus -3 for x1. Negative to negative turns positive, so it'll be 4 plus 1 on top, -2 plus 1 on bottom, plus 3 on bottom, 5 over 1, and then your slope is 5. If it's a fraction, it's okay to leave it as a fraction. So if you had 2 over 3, you leave it as 2 over 3. But of course, 5 over 1 as a number is just 5 over 1, so you will write 5. Over here, I did the same thing, but opposite as far as switching your points, which one you plug in first. So I decided to plug in y1 first, and then x1 first down bottom. And that would mean -1 minus 4 and -3 minus -2 down bottom. So -1 minus 4 is -5. -3 minus -2 would be -1. And that will still give you 5. So you notice either way you'll get 5. Just have to make sure you plug in your numbers properly. All right. Any questions before we do another one? Let's pull up. All right. So next one, -3, 4, and 2, -2. So -3, 4, I call 0.1, -2, 2, -2, I call 0.2. Now plug them in accordingly. Y2 is -2, Y1 is 4, X2 is 2, and X1 is -3. And when you simplify, that'll be -6/5 as your slope. All right, questions? Any questions? All right. So here are your basic behaviors of your slopes. 4 basic behaviors. You follow your graph from left to right. If it goes up, and so the green lines just follow the line up, that means your slope is positive. From left to right, if you follow it and it goes down, your slope is negative. If you have a horizontal line, your slope is 0. If you have a vertical line, your slope is undefined. All right.
Can you scroll up a little bit? I just gotta see something real quick. Right there. Okay, that's good. Thank you.
All right. Not a problem.
Can you go back to basic behaviors? Yeah, right there. And then can you scroll down to the last 2?
No, it's only 4.
And I just can't see what the purple say at the bottom on the last 2.
Okay. You guys must have a different view than I do. Okay, sorry about that. All right. Anything else before we look at graphing using slopes? So graphing using the slopes. I'll tell you that last piece as far as part of your relationship when pertaining to these slopes is rise over run. So we're looking at the rise means going up or down. Your run is right or left. So we'll be able to graph using positive moves and negative moves. That means your positive moves here will be up and right, negative moves down and left. So you'll see that our slope is, will be instructions for us. So when we look at m equal to 2/3, both of them are positive. We have a positive 2 over a positive 3. That means I will go up 2 and right 3. You should be okay. All right, so now if it's negative, if I have a negative 10 over 7, that negative doesn't go to the top and bottom, it just goes to either or. So you make sure you choose one. I always say just give it to the top and leave it at that. In other words, have a negative 10 over a positive 7. Remember, it couldn't be both negative. You have negative over negative, that would be positive. So you have negative 10 over positive 7. That means you would go down 10, right 7. Or if you wanted, you could assign the negative to the bottom. That means you would go up 10, left 7. Either way, you'll still get the same line. So in other words, looking at this over here, if I had my point and I went down 10, right 7, that would put me on this line, but going up 10, left 7 will still put me on the line. So either way, it'll put you on the line. You just have to make sure you do everything according to what's in front of you, the information given to you. All right. Question before I scroll up. Hold on 1 second. All right, here we go. Slope intercept form. So y equal to mx plus b, wherein what's sitting in front of x is your slope, and the other number is your y-intercept. And so when I try to emphasize that, when I say what's sitting in front of x, a lot of times people make a mistake and write the slope as 2/3 x. So x is not a part of your slope. Your slope is just a number. And so your slope is not going to be 2/3 x, it would just be the 2/3. So just be careful with that. A lot of people, for some reason, tend to make that mistake. Do not include x as a part of your slope. It's what's in front of your x. That is the slope. Whatever is attached to the x is the slope. And then the other number is your y-intercept. So same thing, looking at negative 4x plus 3. Negative 4 is your slope. And a 3 is your y-intercept.
What is the heading of this one?
Slope intercept form. All right. Any problems? So I scroll up. All right. So let's look at graphing, using this information to graph. All right, so looking at y equal to 2/3 x minus 1, and we want to graph that. So the first thing we'll do is, let me get this off my screen. First thing we'll do is gather the information, which is right here. We have y equal to 2/3 x minus 1. It's already in slope intercept form, so we know our slope is 2/3, and our y-intercept is -1. So now, because it's 2/3 positive 2 over positive 3, we know we're going to go up 2, right 3. All right. Then since our y-intercept is -1, remember the characteristic of all y-intercepts is that x is always 0. So this will be the coordinates of our y-intercept. So before we go any further, make sure we're okay with the instructions and the information that they're giving us. With the slope, if we have 2/3 as a slope, it's a +2 over a +3, so that's up 2, right 3. And our y-intercept is -1, so that means the coordinates will be 0, -1. So then we'll follow the directions down here in the green. So you're going to graph the y-intercept first. So this point, 0, -1, you always graph that first. You always graph your y-intercept first. Then you're going to use the slope to generate another point from the y-intercept. So you're not going back to the origin. You're going to go to the y-intercept. So when we look at what we have here, first thing we would do is graph the point, which is 0, -1. Just went on, leave it there. And then from that point of 0, -1, I go up to right 3, which will put me right here. So once again, you're not generating a point from the origin. This is your slope. It is not a point. It helps you generate another point, but you're generating that point from the y-intercept. So once again, you go to the y-intercept and you go up to right 3, and then you have your line. All right, questions on how to use a slope to graph before we look at another one? All right, can I scroll up? All right, let's try it again. Y equal to -5x plus 4. So our slope is -5, and our y-intercept is 0, 4. So if our slope is -5, that means we would go down 5 and then right 4, because that's -5. I mean, right 1, excuse me. That's -5 over 1 as a fraction. So graph your y-intercept, which is right here. That's 0, 4, and I go from the y-intercept down 5 and then right 1. And that's the line. All right, questions on graphing using your slope? All right, next one. Point slope formula. We have y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1. When your slope is m, and then x1, y1 is any point on the line. All right. So write the equation of the line that passes through -1, 3 with a slope of 4. So in the red, we're looking at the given information. We have our slope is 4, and our point is x1, y1, which is -1 and 3 for us. All right. So now when we go to our formula, let me erase some of this stuff so we can walk through it. When we go to our formula, we're going to substitute in for, like I said, the slope x1 and y1. X and y will stay there, you know, just like any other equation like we had before, y equal to 2x plus 1. So x and 1 is still going to be involved in the equation. So we're not substituting in for x and y, excuse me, but we're substituting in for x1 and y1. So y1 is 3, your slope is 4, and then x1 is -1. Make sure you don't lose a negative. Once again, there's a minus sign in the formula, and you plug it in, -1. Distribute this 4, and don't forget negative to negative is positive. So we have y minus 3 equal to 4x plus 4. Then to finish it off, we'll add 3 to both sides. 3's cancel, and we're left with y equal to 4x plus 7. So that's the equation of the line that has a slope 4 and passes through -1, 3. All right, any questions? Scroll up. Hold on. Why don't I have another one there? Hold on 1 second. It's probably because we're gonna do that again in this section. Let's do another one just to make sure we're good. Let's see what we had back here. That was 3, so I don't want to do 3. How about 8, 5? Okay, so let's do one more just to make sure we're good. Write the equation of the line that passes through 8, 5 with a slope of -1/4. All right, so that's our given information. They give us the slope of -1/4 and the point of 8, 5. All right, so let's plug it into the formula. Y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1. point slope formula, because all you need is a point and a slope to fulfill the requirements of the equation. We plug it in y1, negative 1/4, and then we're plugging in 8. So now we're going to distribute. Be careful here, that's negative 1/4 times negative 8/1. Multiply across, that'll be 8/4, which is just 2. So that's y minus 5 equal to negative 1/4 x plus 2. Then we can finish it off by adding 5 to both sides. 5's cancel on the left. Y is equal to negative 1/4 x plus 7. All right. Questions? Any questions? Let's see, 11:48. Yeah. All right, so we can start 2.4. Today's 2.4 jumps to 2.7. What's going on here? Oh, okay, gotcha. All right, so 2.4, more on slopes. So parallel lines, they're lines that do not ever cross or touch. And the key here is that the slopes are going to be the same. If you have lines that are parallel, the slopes will be the same. All right. Perpendicular lines intersect at a 90-degree angle. Their slopes are negative reciprocals of each other. So you can never assume that you have perpendicular lines. There has to be something either in the directions or the symbolism, that little square in between. To let you know that you have 90-degree angle. You can never assume that you have a 90-degree angle, so always keep that in mind. All right. So what does it mean to be negative reciprocals? Make sure everybody got the perpendicular stuff before I go up any further. All right. So reciprocals are just flipping a fraction. That's what we're looking at right here. If I have 3/4, flip that, that's 4/3. Negative 10/7 is negative 7/10. 5 is just 1/5. But when you're talking about negative reciprocals, which is what pertains to lines that are perpendicular, you flip the fraction and you use the opposite sign. All right. flip the fraction and you use the opposite sign. All right. Questions on negative reciprocals. You flip the fraction and you use the opposite sign. All right. So here you got a little chart just to make sure we're okay with what it means to have a line that's parallel and a line that's perpendicular. Talking about for relationships of the slopes. So if I have my original line and then I want a line that's parallel to it, it's going to have the same slope. All right. But then if I want a line that's perpendicular, it's going to have a negative reciprocal. So it's going to have the opposite sign and you're going to flip the fraction. So in the next one, this is my original line. If I want a line that's parallel to it, I will have the same slope. But then if I want a line that's perpendicular to it, I would flip the fraction and then use the opposite sign. So it would be positive 11 over 9. Questions on those relationships, make sure we're okay with what we mean. So once again, if you have a line and you want a line that's parallel to it, it would have to have the same slope. But then if you want a line that's perpendicular to it, you have to flip the fraction and use the opposite sign. It's called a negative reciprocal. All right. So that leads us into the next one. It says write the equation of the line passing through the point negative 3, 1 and is parallel to the line y equal to 2x plus 1. So we want to write the equation of the line that passes through the point negative 3, 1 and is parallel to the line y equal to 2x. All right, so first thing we need to do is establish what our slope is. We have y equal to 2x plus 1. Our slope is already in slope-intercept form, so we know that's whatever's sitting in front of x because y is solved whenever y is solved. That's the y-intercept form, slope-intercept form. And we know what's sitting in front of x is our slope. So we know our slope is equal to 2. That's our original slope. We want a line that's parallel to that. So if that's the case, we will use your slope equal to 2. Remember, a line that's parallel to the line that you have will have the same slope. So before we go any further, is everybody okay with that? All right, so we have our slope, and now we want it to pass through negative 3, 1. So that's what we're looking at right here. We have our point and our slope now, and now we can use the point slope formula. So you plug in 2 for m, negative 3 for x1, and then positive 1 for y1. Negative to negative term is positive, and you distribute 2. So that's y minus 1 equal to 2x plus 6. You'll add 1 to both sides, and y is equal to 2x plus 7. All right. Questions? Any questions? All right. Next one, write the equation of the line passing through the point 3, -5, and it's perpendicular to x plus 4y minus 8 equal to 0. Then it tells us to express the answer in general form. So the first thing we want to do, though, is we want to solve this equation for y. So going back real quick, remember our original equation was already solved for y, so we could pick out our slope. So we need this equation to be solved for y, so we once again can pick out our slope. So that's the first thing that we have to do, is solve that for y. So I subtract the x and add 8 to both sides. Then that would give me 4y equal to -x plus 8. But then we have to divide both sides by 4 because we're still trying to solve for y. And then I have this situation. Y is equal to -x over 4 plus 8 over 4. And that gives me the equation of y equal to -1/4 x plus 2. So before we go any further, make sure we're okay with what we've done. We took the equation that they gave us, solved it for y, so that we will be able to pick out our slope. All right, so our slope is -1/4. That's the original slope that they gave us, because that's the slope that came along with the line that they gave us. So our slope is -1/4. And a slope that's perpendicular to that is going to be flipping the fraction and using the opposite sign. All right, we're going to flip the fraction and use the opposite sign. So that'd be a positive 4/1, which is positive 4. Remember, if we want a slope that was parallel to it, we would use the same slope, -1/4. Okay. Questions? Any questions? Okay, so now that we have our slope, which is 4, and they gave us that point 3, -5, that came from the actual problem itself, we will go ahead and plug it into the point slope formula. Y minus y1 equal to m times x minus x1. -5 for x1, 4 for m, 3 for x1. That's -5 for y1, excuse me. 4 for m, and then 3 for x1. So that turns to y plus 5 equal to 4x minus 12. Subtract 5 from both sides. That will be y equal to 4x minus 17. Any questions? So now don't forget it asks for the general form. The general form is ax plus by plus c equal to 0. As a matter of fact, the first equation that they gave us in this problem was given to us in general form. So they want us to give our final answer in general form. And we would do so by subtracting y from both sides. So it'll be 4x minus y minus 17 equal to 0. All right, questions, any questions? What time is 12? Let me see something real quick. All right. All right, so that is 2.4, 2.6. Okay, so we'll pause right here. And next class we'll get into 2.5. And we will go from there because I have to decide if I want to do an assignment on this or not. So let me think about it, see if I want to do it. I have an answer for you on next class. So questions before we close out? Any questions before we close out? All right. So try the stuff out, see if you get stuck on anything. Don't forget to let me know if you need to meet outside of class. If not, bring your questions to class and we will take care of them. So you guys are good, I'm good. I will see you on next class. We'll get started with 2.5. You guys have a good one.
Bye. Have a good day.
Thanks, you do the same. Take care.
Have a nice day.
You do the same.
Have a nice day.
Thanks, you do the same.